called the Paseo de Alamo, the passage to the Alamo. So you can walk right through the lobby here, and when you get to the street level on the other side, you're right across the street from the Alamo. This is the fastest way to get to the Alamo from this side of the river. You can walk right to the lobby of the hotel. Yes, ma'am, You see over the doorways here to the left, it says the Shops of Paseo de Alamo. You can walk right through there, and when you get to the street level on the other side, you'll be right across the street from the Alamo. This is called the River Square, and this is where you'll find most of the bars and restaurants here along the Riverwalk. So if you folks have ever wondered, does anybody actually fall into the river? Yes, they do, folks, fall into the river. We average about 60 people every year that fall in, and they usually fall in right along in here somewhere. You know, we call those guys the Friday Nighters. And here to the right of us, this is Casa RIO Mexican restaurant. And this is the very first restaurant on the Riverwalk. It was opened back in 1946. They were the first ones to offer riverside dining and also dining on the boat. Hotels. The one to the left is the River Center Marriott, and the one to the right is the River Walk Marriott. Now listen to this story, folks. When they first bought the land to build this River Walk Marriott, there was already a hotel right there on the site. It's called the Fairmont Hotel, and that is on our National Historic Registry. So it's a little historic 3-story hotel. So the building of this Marriott, they couldn't just destroy that little hotel and put the Marriott up. They actually had to figure out how they were going to move that hotel. So what they did, folks, was they put it on 36 giant dollies. Each one of them had 8 wheels, and they moved it 5 blocks down the road to Alamo and Nueva. It took them 5 days to move that building 5 blocks. They actually moved at 0.4 miles an hour down the road here, folks. Now that's in the Guinness Book of World Records for being the largest building ever moved down city streets. And that little 3-story hotel weighed 3 million pounds. And it has a revolving restaurant and an observation deck. And that restaurant makes one full rotation every hour like clockwork, so you can't actually feel it moving. And I'll tell you something else, folks, it has 900 plus stairs to get to the top. 952 stairs. And it also has 2 glass front elevators, folks. You should use the elevators, guys. And here's one of those low bridges I was telling you about. And they tell us when we're in training, folks, make sure you let everybody know to watch their heads when you go on these bridges. Well, actually, I'm the only one who have to watch my head. I've lost a lot of hats coming right through here. I tell people that should tell us, they tell you to watch me, watch my head. That could be the most entertaining part of the tour if you don't get that right. And all this part of the river here, folks, now this is one of the newest additions to the Riverwalk. This is the River Center Mall area. Now, this was begun back in 1985 and completed back in 1988. And here at the Riverside Alamo, there are 125 shops, restaurants, and small boutiques here. There's actually over 1 million square feet of shopping space here, folks. And I'll tell you something else, folks, there's also 2 movie theaters here in the River Center. One of them is an IMAX theater. Has anybody ever seen a movie on an IMAX theater screen? That screen in there is 6 stories tall and 8 stories wide. Now I told people that, folks, that screen in there is 6 stories tall and 8 stories wide. And right about here, people get a good look at that building, and I see the gears in their head turning like, wait a minute. That's only a 4-story building. How'd you do a 6-story movie screen in there? But actually what they did, folks, was they incorporate the basement of the food court in the height of the movie screen. So technically, part of that movie screen is actually underwater. The city was actually named after the river. The river was named the San Antonio River in 1691. And that's way before the city sprang up. So by the time the city arrived, they just named it San Antonio after the river. And now here to the right of it, folks, if you look over the wall here, right in between the trees there, you'll see the church steeple. Now that's the steeple for St. Joseph's German Catholic Church. And this church was built in 1867 by our German-speaking immigrants here. Now, back in the 1800s, folks, you hear German here just as much as you hear English or Spanish. And if you look over the wall here to the immediate right, folks, you'll see that building there. Now, that is not the church, folks. That's Riverside Mall where we just left. Now, originally, when they were building this mall, what they wanted to do was to buy the church and just tear it down and build on the whole piece of property. They wanted the entire block. But, of course, who's going to sell their historic church? So what the Riverside Mall did was they just bought all the surrounding land and built on all 3 sides of the church. Yeah, so if you look right here, folks, you can tell there's a little church right here in the middle, and then Riverside Mall to the left and the right. They didn't even leave a room for a parking lot, folks. It's actually just a church up there. Has anyone ever seen a movie called Up?
Yes.
Well, there's a scene where there's a little building surrounded by a giant building. That's exactly what that looks like. From the top of the stairs here, you'll get a picture that looks exactly like that. And like I said, that's an iconic church. Every 4th Sunday, they have their mass in German. They have an all-male German choir that sings in there. They even have all the original stained glass windows they brought from Germany in there. It's a beautiful church. I'll tell you, buddy, they have everything except for a parking lot. And here to the right of the boat, folks, is the San Antonio Chamber of Commerce. And now, as we pass it, folks, if you look on the street level, you'll see a big red sculpture there. Now, this sculpture is called the Torch of Friendship. And this was a gift from Mexico by the artist Sebastian back in 2002. And that sculpture is massive. It's 65 feet tall and weighs 4. Actually killed by a sniper from this tree right here. Now, during the battle for the Alamo, folks, Santa Anna would post snipers in this tree, and they would shoot up and down river at all the Texans that came by to get water for their horses. Now, I'm going to back up right here, folks. If you look in the doorway here to the left in front of the boat there, you see there's going to be a mosaic on the wall there that shows you what the river looked like back then. And in that picture, there's going to be a sniper in a tree, and that's this tree here to the left. And there's also going to be a bend in the river, and that's this bend to the left. It makes this natural left-hand turn, and all this to the right, that's what was dredged out for flood control. So the mosaic you see in the doorway there, that's the natural state of the San Antonio River where we are right now. We're actually going to be going around that bend in the river right now. And I'll tell you folks, like I said, we had that flood here back in 1921, and the water was 10 feet above the street level. So just to give you a quick visual of what that looks like, folks, if you look here to the left of the boat, you're going to see this white brick building coming up here in front of the boat. Now that is the Brewery Inn Hotel right now. But back in 1921, when we actually had that flood, this was our CPS office, City Public Service. This is where you could pay your water bill. And there was a picture in the San Antonio paper, ironically, the CPS office floods. The water was just below the chandeliers in there. So that's what 10 feet above the street level looks like, folks, just below the chandeliers in there. And now right here, ladies and gentlemen, this pretty much concludes our tour, folks. Now, I picked you up right here on the right-hand side where this pink boat is, but we only have that one landing, so I have to let you off up here on the left. So at this point, I'd like to say this pretty much concludes our tour, folks. So please look around, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you have everything with you, okay? You don't want to leave anything on the boat. Like your cell phones, video cameras, shopping bags, backpacks, things like that. But now if you do leave something on the boat, folks, don't worry, we do have a lost and found. You can retrieve your lost items at www.ebay.com.